Hi, my name is Joseph Alai. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about this. Has your manifestation hit a windy bridge? And I want to tell you why, if it has. How this is not necessarily a bad thing. How this is referenced in literature related to scripture originally, where I get my initial manifestation techniques from, and what you can do about it if you are unsure that this is the right movement. So before we begin, please do me a big solid. Hit the like button. It does something to the algorithm so that those who wouldn't normally be able to see this will see this. Hit the subscribe button for broken down systematic techniques, observations, and experiences over the last decade and a half of how to manifest systematically and with predictable results. No more hope manifesting. Also, there's a download in the description. I highly recommend you download it. That will also add you to my email list, where I give you specific things I do not give you on this channel: techniques, stories, ideas, inspiration, things of that nature. So go ahead and do that as well, along with hitting the bell icon. So I want to take you into this thought process of the windy bridge. I want to talk about one of my clients. I want to talk about their experience specifically, which is common with many clients as well, and how just because things appear to be windy and crazy does not actually mean anything bad. In fact, in many cases, things have to be crazy in order for things to take a profoundly impactful result on reality, impact on reality, change on reality. So this is a story. I'm essentially going to weave in pieces of a story from a coaching client, along with my personal manifestation experience, with my objective observations, what I've seen, to give you the essence of a windy bridge. And first, let's get into the scripture. So oftentimes you will see, I quote, Exodus chapter 3, really powerful stuff. To the untrained eye even, it's often quoted. I'm sure you have heard the phrase, I am that I am, often used incorrectly to reference that a person just is who he is. Like, I am who I am, and there's nothing you can do about it. But really, that is a horrific misinterpretation, when it's just so funny, because one of the most powerful phrases you can say in the world, in the universe, is covered up by some sort of interesting idea that I am what I am, and I'm not going to change anything about that. But the chapter 3 of Exodus, Moses is essentially speaking with God. And this is really powerful stuff. And God essentially tells him, like, listen, dude, I've heard your cries. I'm going to get you and your peeps, the children of Israel, out of Egypt, which in the metaphysical interpretation is essentially the land of consciousness. Though not consciousness, not subconsciousness, not God consciousness, but carnal, right? The objective land, which is essentially what we're a part of, but we also have dominion over. But the naked and untrained eye, or the person who is unaware, has no clue that they're actually creating and controlling this reality as they go along. So the metaphysical interpretation of this is saying, God is saying to Moses, listen, bro, I've heard your cries, your people, they are hurting. I am going to go ahead and get them out of Israel, right? I'm going to get them out of Egypt. The peeps of Israel are going to get out of Egypt. You're going to have to go to Pharaoh. You're going to have to tell Broseph to let you and the people go through the desert. You're going to go to the people of Israel, and you're going to tell them that I sent you, and you are going to tell them to listen to you. I'm going to give you these couple miracles you can perform so that they'll believe, or they won't, whatever. But ultimately, this is what you're going to do. And then he goes on to say, besides the fact that he tells Moses that Moses is God and that everyone's God, and that's like the craziest thing in the world. But on the surface of the story, he tells Moses, like, listen, also, dude, Pharaoh's not going to believe you, and he's not going to care that God sent you, and he's going to punish y'all, and he's not going to let you go. And so Moses is thinking, like, what? Why is this happening? And what's the point of me going? Why can't you just snap your finger and let my people like teleport out of that? This is essentially what he was probably thinking. I mean, God essentially appeared in a burning bush, right? You appeared in a burning bush, dude, just like burn the Pharaoh or something, or like just teleport us all, whatever, man. So he's like telling God, he's like, dude, come on, man. Like, why are you, he's like, I have a stutter, dude. Like, why are you getting me to do this? This makes no sense. Why are you telling me to do this? And God is like, broski, I am God. I made you. I made your mouth, right? When you speak, I will be, that will be me coming out. So literally he's explaining all of our power, right? Everything that comes out of our mouth is literally God. So there's nothing we can do that's wrong. Most people think they're taking the wrong move on their bridge and this and that, but realistically, you're not doing nothing wrong. Now, interestingly enough, also consider he's telling Moses to do these things. He's saying, do this. Notice he doesn't just say, grab the people and come. He's saying, do these obscure things. Tell the people, go to Pharaoh, yada, 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 right? Again, he's not just teleporting the people out. So it's interesting because there's this bridge in the middle, right? Pharaoh is going to reject you. He's going to get really mad. And essentially what he does, interestingly enough, is he punishes all the Jews, all the Israelis. He essentially says, like when Moses goes to him, the Pharaoh's like, nah, who's this God? And since you've asked me, now all the people, the slaves, have to do the same amount of work with no bricks. They have to make the bricks themselves and expect the same amount of work, which is literally an impossible task. So all the Jews are now beaten senseless. They are essentially slain. So in this case, what is the analog of this? Think of the bridge of incidents, right? Now, what we're experiencing when we're manifesting a specific person or some business venture is nothing like being beaten by a pharaoh in slavery in 120-degree weather, right? That is not happening. But nevertheless, interesting how this is still the process. Now, wonder and ask yourself, why is this happening? Right? This is happening and this story is being told. The metaphysical interpretation would essentially be saying your road is going to be messed up, but this road must happen in order for your manifestation to unfold. Now, in this case, I had a client, a coaching client of mine, bright person. They were on a bridge and things in their life were going haywire. Essentially what happened to them was they had taken a suggestion from me to get a clear and concise image of the end result. Now, this sounds to be obvious to the majority of people, but I promise you, if you ask yourself, the last time you imagined a scene, how clear and crisp was it? How accurate and perfect did you have it? How many thoughts or worries afterward entered into your mind? Did I see their face properly enough? Did I, et cetera, et cetera. In the majority of cases, and nowadays, a lot of people are focusing a lot on what comes after, right? The psychological approach, which has less to do with manifesting than the actual act of creation itself. The action itself is the imagining. So initially, or essentially what happened with this individual is they had imagined something and then their world took a drastic turn, right? Their specific person went crazy. They ended up doing a lot of things, a lot of dangerous things, a lot of things that were essentially, how can I put this in a way to make it vague enough? That was threatening upon my client's freedom and safety and security of being, which was crazy and interesting enough. But interesting also, my client was still interested in this person. So ultimately though, what happened in the situation with Moses? So essentially Moses goes back to God and he's like, yo, bro, they're beating my people now. Why did you tell me to do that? That's not cool. You said you were going to get my people out of this whole world, this whole desert, and you were going to give us like milk and honey, and we were going to have the jewels of these people. So God's like, listen, I had to do it because now I got to rain hell on that dude. So essentially, this is the metaphysical interpretation. God had to, essentially the way that the bridge of incidents will unfold is it needed to be horrendous enough so that the fullness of the imaginal act can be completed. So in other words, in a lot of situations you will find, say in the case of a specific person that you're in love with, who they maybe like you, but they're not at the same level, or maybe they were liking you, but now they're off with somebody else. Something, or maybe I've seen this so many times, right? This is another client of mine. They had imagined being with a specific person, so they had been with a specific person, then, but nothing committed, right? And then they were in a neutral spot, right? Client is imagining being with this person. I say, listen, you need to get clear on this scene. You need to imagine it properly. You need to embed that image in your mind, saturate your mind to the best of your ability. They do this, and then boom, something happens. Their specific person ends up hooking up with another person, being with another person. So that was a difficult conversation to have. Initially, it was taken out on me. I imagined this. You told me to imagine this. This happened. Things were going swell. Things were going smooth. I said, just watch. I did nothing. I told her to do nothing. This happened exactly after the night she had imagined her end scene, gotten clear on her end scene. She just imagined a successful marriage or a happy marriage after a certain point in time with her specific person. Now, beforehand, she had done this, but she did not have a clear picture of him. She could not, so she was worried too much about how clear he was in her mind and less focused on making it natural and effective and making it line up with a real experience. Now, this is a key of manifesting. It's not just to simply use a visual faculty to experience something in sight. It is, in effect, to experience something as if you're really experiencing it. Take, for an example, a conversation, the last conversation in person that you had with someone. Think of now, go through a list of all the senses. Sight, taste, touch, hearing, smelling, whatever I missed. If I missed something, thought, feeling. Which do you remember about the whole thing? And then go through the whole setting. What about what was behind them? What about what they were saying? What about what you were thinking? What about what you were feeling? There's going to be some of those that will stand out as 100% you remember, or 80% you remember. And some of those you're not going to remember at all. You're going to have to force yourself to remember. This is the likeness of that you must imagine with. That exact likeness of reality. This is what people miss the mark about. This is the missing problem. So essentially though, once she engaged in a proper imaginal act, things took effect. I have another story. I'll leave that one for another time. Point being is, so what happens? Pharaoh and his whole people get slammed. Right? God destroys those people. He puts plagues and this and that. It had to be done. It had to be catastrophic enough so that they would fully let the people go. Imagine Pharaoh had been like, I'll make a deal, 50-50. Never was angry, nothing. It had to get to a point, they had to all go. So it had to get to a point where they could all go. Pharaoh would never have let them go. And in fact, if he did, he might have called them back. So in other words, this was the only way. It had to be so severe that this decision was permanent and final. It had to be the end all be all. And in the case with the woman and the specific person who ended up hooking up with somebody else, what happened was they were with another person. That was what was necessary. My client got very upset, blocked the said person. Said person ended up being with that other person, the third party, for a while. Ended up getting in a horrific fight, but at the same time missed my client. So it had to be something to an extreme degree that made the person fear that my client would never talk to them again. They had to realize they hated that third party and realized that no one else was better for them than my client, and ended up coming back to my client. Now, there were some other things that my client and I spoke about, but suffice it to say, the core of our coaching session in that session was related to that. Very effective, very powerful. Sometimes we have to look at our imaginal acts. We have to look and make sure that we're doing it properly. We have to also get ready, and we have to look and say, is this possible? If you're looking from the end, look back at what's happening now in this horrific bridge. Now, say you actually have your goal. Look back. How could you explain that? That's a great tool. Well, I could see that this could, even though it seems to be far off, or something in the opposite direction, that must have happened. for me to get this in a permanent way. Think of permanency. I have my own experiences. I've had some catastrophic experiences. If they had not happened, I would not have changed permanently. Look at your own life. Is it not the most catastrophic or serious experiences that make complete psychic changes or psychological changes in an individual? Absolutely it is. So if the bridge is horrific, it's not a bad sign. This is a good sign. What I can tell you is this. If you imagine, and then shortly thereafter, you have a serious change of reality, you are on the bridge. No doubt. That's how it happens. I've seen it so many times. I've had so many coaching clients, walked people through so many things. I've had my own experiences logged for 14 years. There's no doubt this is the way that reality works. Some people have a hard time with this. Some people can't stomach it. Some people say manifesting shouldn't be this hard. Some people say whatever they want to say, whatever they want to believe. The truth of the matter is just observe your reality. Forget about what I say. Forget about what they say. Look at your life. Look at your life. Look at others' lives. This is the way to observe reality. So anyway, I hope this was helpful and gives you some inspiration and hope. Make sure you download that stuff in the description. If you like this, hit the like button. It helps me in the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button if you like broken down systematic techniques, observations that are tested, that are frameworks of how to get exactly what you want with your imagination and reality. I delve through the Bible, I delved through Neville Goddard, I delved through systematic manifesting over 14 years and boiled it down into really simple methods on how to get whatever you want. And that's what I do. I'm an expert at breaking things down. I'm an expert at looking at reality, looking at problems, finding the solution to it, the easy fix. That is my obsession. That is what I do. That is why I'm here. So thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time.